You've choppered the rounds.
Yes.
Yeah?
Alongside these four women, and now that we're here, let me mention them, all right? Elizabeth Omolo started the first FM station. It went on air before Capital Metro FM, right? Linda Holt started the first private radio station in Kenya, Capital FM, right? The late Annika Slingerland started the first Christian religious station in Kenya. And the other woman is Rose Kimodo.
Yeah.
She started the first vernacular radio station.
Welcome to the Nitpicker Podcast, where we tell interesting stories about interesting people doing interesting things. My name is Carol Musyoka, and I'm the Nitpicker. Today we've got a remarkable guest in Eric Latiff. He's a prominent Kenyan media personality known for thought-provoking insights and, the voice. With an impressive career spanning radio and TV, Eric's become a household name in Kenya, mpaka State House. His passion for storytelling and commitment to truth has not only informed, but also inspired countless listeners throughout the nation. Join us as we explore Eric's journey from the whistling thorns of Kajiado County to becoming a leading voice in media. This is an episode you won't want to miss. Welcome, Eric, to the Nitpicker Podcast. Karibu sana.
Who's that you just described there? I mean, I was like, huh?
The voice.
Who?
Eric, don't deny it.
I have
How many chicks have said
I have
they tune in for the
never
voice?
ever been told what to say. I have never heard of it. What's that? Say it again.
The voice.
What about it?
And then your cartoon, I like that your cartoon goes kidogo lower, just to emphasize. Is that what got you started in journalism? Like, how did you get into journalism?
How did I get into journalism?
How did you get into it?
Oh, okay. How much time do you have?
Got all day. Eric.
Very good.
We've got a very good editor.
Let's start with a radio, right? Mm-hmm. You know those radios, portable radio,
yeah,
right? And then listening to portable radio wherever you are with your radio.
In fact, I read somewhere that your inspiration was Fred Machoka.
Yes.
What program was it that he was running that inspired you?
So he used to do a show on Sundays. It was called Sanyo. Kuwa juu, kuwa tops.
Sanyo, kuwa juu,
Sanyo, iko top. Right? So every Sunday, Fred Machoka would do that show. And then basically I would listen to the radio whenever I'm not in school. And the radio is nearby. And of course, my mom would allow me to switch on the radio and it would be playing. So I'm just listening to the radio. I'm following KBC Swahili service, English service. And I just used to love, because the presenters used to sound like they're having so much fun. All of them. Amina Faki, Elizabeth Obege, Elizabeth Omolo, Ali Salim Manga, all those guys in those days. And I was like, these guys are having so much fun. And then Uncle Fred Obachi Machoka would come on Sunday, the blackest man in Black Africa.
Yeah.
You know, kuwa juu, kuwa tops. And he sounds like he is enjoying himself.
Kabisa.
And I'd listen and I'd be carried by it. And what I would then do is that in primary school, I went to Kimana Primary School. I like saying that and, propping it all the time.
And where is that?
It's in Loitoktok.
And where is Loitoktok? No.
So the Republic of Kenya.
Yeah, thank you. Let's start with that.
See the map of Kenya,
yes,
right?
Yes.
In the map of Kenya.
And don't do GPS coordinates, please. Just stick to map.
Okay.
Yes.
So in the southern border with Tanzania,
there you go.
Right? There's a straight line.
Yes.
It's like a straight line that goes.
It bends kidogo to get Mount Kilimanjaro to give Mount Kilimanjaro to Tanzania.
At that point where it's bending.
Yes.
Somewhere there. That's all I talked to.
That's in Kajiado district.
That's in Kajiado.
Kajiado district. How did your mom end up in Kajiado district?
Well, that's her story.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
It's her story, but she ended up there. She was working in the security sector. Then she was transferred. She went to Kajiado, to Loitoktok. She went there. She loved the place. She bought land. She decided to settle there. And we moved there. I think I was about 1.5 years old.
Wow. So you grew up, she was a police officer. What is it growing up and your mom's a cop? Like when you're kid and your mom's a teacher,
Yeah.
everyone's sort of very careful around you. So how do you play with the neighborhood
So here's
kids?
the thing. So by the time we were moving there,
Yeah.
she was not actively wearing uniform and all. But she's in the security sector.
Yes.
So I don't know my mom in uniform. I see my mom in uniform in photos, right? But I know my mom as, this person who everybody knows, Ule Mama.
Yes, no, don't mess with her.
Ule Mama.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as I'd go to school, then Parents' Day meetings, I'd be the guy who sits down and reads Taarifa Habari, to entertain, as the entertainment. Na hii ni Taarifa Habari. So I'd gather my confidence there. I was enjoying myself. And I think by the time I was getting to standard 8, and people are now starting to make the stories of what I'd like to become when I grow up, I just felt I wanted to become a broadcaster when I grew up.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you don't know how to get into broadcasting by this time.
Absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, none of my classmates knew how to become a doctor or how to become an engineer. I mean,
But you know that you go to medical school, you go to...
Nah, we all just know you leave this school, you go to high school. Then from that point on, you'll end up there, right?
So from Kimana, you cut across, come closer into Central Province and into Mangu.
Yes.
Big change.
Yeah.
First time away from home?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
First time away from home, on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So, but it was a good environment. It's a boys' school, you're getting in there, and the motto of Jishinde Ushinde for Mangu, my friend, it's Jishinde Ushinde.
What does that mean?
You've got to conquer yourself in order to be able to conquer the world. Yeah. So it's hardship par excellence, as everybody should consider it.
It's a very high achiever school. Most Mangus, it's your top cadre. No pressure to become a doctor, a lawyer. You still got your eyes on the prize. You still got Freddie Machoka as your SI unit of...
Yeah, I think through Form 1, 2, 3, I wasn't really thinking so much about it. It to be land anywhere, right? The pressure, of course, the pressure to perform. I mean, that's the point where I get to I've come from Kimana, where electricity is unheard of. I knew electricity in Nairobi, and then, in Kimana, we're just using the lanterns and all. And here, there is power throughout. And you can imagine, Carol, the first time I wake up in the middle of the night in high school, and I realize I'm alone in the dorm. I'm like, what the heck? Did the rapture happen? Kumbe actually did.
What up?
Because there's a term in Mangu called resurrect. All right? So at 3 a.m., guys resurrect.
What does that even mean?
Especially around exam time, you resurrect at 3, you go to class, and you're studying.
How were you the only person in bed?
See, I didn't resurrect.
So when guys didn't wake you up.
What? Well, I wasn't alone. Well, a
few kadhaa dulas.
Yeah. No, some guys are just too sharp. They slept late. They've come to bed at 3 a.m. Others have left at 3 a.m. Wow. They've gone. So that's the kind of life. Is this? Form 1, end of term 1.
Oh, come on.
And it's just like that. And then you realize this is the cycle. I mean, it's just, but it's a mix. It's a mix of during games time, actually guys are just chilling there, people, yeah? And then I came across a certified genius for the first time in my life. And there's a guy called Gilbert Tengeta who was like 2 years ahead.
I like that, certified genius.
Yes. This chap he chapered everything in standard 8. In 4th form, he got the straight A's. But Gilbert Tengeta, at 4 p.m., this is games time, he's chilling. He's a very good basketball player, so he's playing basketball, goes to dinner, goes for prep until 9:30. Gilbert Tengeta goes to bed. You guys transnight, resurrect. Exam comes out, Tengeta.
Number 1.
Got everything. That's a certified genius.
Yeah.
I don't know where he went to. I've heard very many stories about Gilbert Tengeta, but yes. So that's the kind of life.
So you get to 4th form, Eric, guys are sitting down, we all start in a dining hall. At least for us in Boma, it was a dining hall where you do your choices, your university choices, your career choices. What was your choice at the time?
So my choice, that's the time I come back into what I'd like to do. My true north is broadcasting. Okay, so there is absolutely nothing then in the public universities that is teaching broadcast.
In fact, it was only Daystar those days, isn't it?
So all the public universities, the closest you'd come to was studying literature, the languages, English lit, or law, or I saw one, information systems, right? And then information systems turns out to be something completely different.
Yeah, it's not IT or something. Yeah.
And then there were the IT courses, computer science, right? And then there's information systems. So I selected those ones. I think my first choice was law, and then information systems, and
so you chose law?
It was, yeah.
Were you interested in being a lawyer?
So I just wanted to talk.
Mengi Mutu sister? No, I'm joking. No.
Yeah. Kind of things. Tell a story.
Really?
Yeah, and believe it to be true. And if anybody else asks you, tell them we are with us.
Are you with us? Yes, you're with us. Really?
Yeah.
I never figured you for that.
So I selected those courses, and it's still moving on. But at that point, I'm just figuring. I'm telling myself I've got to find a way. So I know that Daystar is offering communication courses. The chances of me getting into a private university and getting my mom to afford to pay is just 0 to none. Well, not zero really, but yeah, closer to none than, right? Public universities have all these things. I was just go with the motions, right? Until when cleared fourth form and now had to actually.
People who like to say you cleared fourth form. Fourth form is not a bush.
It is.
You finished Form 4. It's a very Kenyan thing. I cleared.
You clear that
It's not
thing.
a bush. It's not a bush.
My friend.
So you finished fourth form. So you said you learned to communicate. It's you did a lot of Kisungu Mingi.
All right. So I finished high school by clearing fourth form. It's a hardship zone, my friend. Anyway, so high school is done, and now I have to choose what to do. Those are the days when there would be an entire year before. So the results come out in February. The admissions come towards September for you to join university the following year. So there's a whole year of basically doing nothing. There's no more NYS and all those things, right? So that's the time when I lived with my auntie here in Nairobi for a bit, and I took the time to find out what on earth this broadcasting is all about and how I can get in. So I'm watching KTN, I'm watching KBC, and those were the two stations, and I figured out that KBC is near University of Nairobi, near Central Police Station. So I walked there and I stand outside KBC, this imposing gate, and I see, these security guys. And one day I go back home, I'm like, so that's KBC. It's heavily guarded. Now, KTN is a Nyayo house. I'm not going there.
I know. Especially with the Nyayo chambers. Because they were still there at that time. Yes.
So, second day, I was lucky because as I stood there at KBC at the gate outside, this guy walks out, and he's the guy that I have actually seen on TV. In fact, I watched him last night reading the news. He's a tall guy, dark. His name is David Arab Mayo. I said, that's David Arab Mayo. So I approach him.
Cold turkey.
Yeah. On Harry Thuku Road, just outside the Norfolk Hotel. And I'm like, excuse me, sir. My name is Eric. I just did my fourth form exam. I'm waiting to go to university, but I really want to do broadcasting like you. And I just wanted to find out, how do I do this? How do I get in there? And the guy stopped. He was like, yes, young man.
And he probably gets stopped all the time.
Yes.
So what was it about you? Was it the voice?
I don't know. I don't know. He just looked at me as though he was like, okay, so let me just listen to this one. So he's like, okay. The way to get through media is you study at KMC. Have you heard of KMC? I'm like, no.
And what's
the only KMC I know is Kenya Media Commission.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I'm like, I don't know. So it's the Kenya Institute of Mass Communication. It's in South Sea. This is where people are trained to work in media. So you've got to go enroll yourself there, and then from there That's how you get to work in the media. So I'm like, how do I get to South Sea? So he told me, go look for a place called Gill House. There are number 12 matatus there, and ask the Makanga to drop you at KMC. That's what I did. I looked for Gill House. At least I knew where Gill House was.
Very generous of him. Have you ever seen him again?
I've spoken to him since then. In fact, this year I just reached out to him again and told him, you know what, I've told your story again. And I just wanted to reach out to you directly and say, you know, it's because you stopped.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's because it didn't matter to him. Of course he doesn't remember. Obviously he wouldn't. He's been stopped by so many people. That was nothing to him. But for me, that was the turning point. Absolutely. That's the one that just defined. That's the one that now led me to where I am today. It's because he stopped. He told me about KIMC, and I got to know about KIMC.
So you go into KIMC. Let's fast forward a little bit. You graduate.
Yeah.
You don't go to university. Decide now I'm going into broadcasting, which is, you know, but and it has. I want to believe, like any industry, journalism, media has its wenyewe. So how do you break in? So now you've come out, you've graduated.
So I break in before I come out of college. And that's because in this whole period of between March and September, was I'm meeting David Arap Mai on one end. I also got the courage to go to KTN. And it was
quite kaudo posh those days.
KTN
was KTN, yes. It was very posh.
So I went to KTN.
Even though it was in your house.
Again, I stopped a guy who was just leaving KTN. He was carrying a camera. His name was Barasa. And I asked him, I'd like to. And then he told me to talk to a guy called Sidney Kuntai. He's
so hold on. Chief. You walk into Nyayo house.
I walk into Nyayo house.
Ground floor, which is even today, it's still imposing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I go and press the lift. So I can see there on the board, KTN is on 23rd floor. Is it 23rd floor? Because it's on a floor where the lift doesn't stop. So you've got to stop either
22nd or 24th.
So I go to the upper one, come down. Again, it's a gate, security. There's a lady here who's sitting, talking to guests who are coming in. Who are you here to see? Let me call. Find out whether you have an appointment, whether they're here to see you. So I'm just sitting there, I'm like, okay, so what do I say? I have absolutely no idea what I'm coming to say. I can't say I've come to see Jorge Maura. They'll be like, I don't know him. So I just zooked there, pretending, I'm on the queue, I'm waiting for
someone.
Guy walks out, big guy, never seen him, carrying a camera. I'm like, this guy's carrying a camera. He must know what I want to ask. So I stop him and ask him again, I'd like to work here. I'm waiting to go to KMC. That time I have a story. And he told me, you need to talk to the editor-in-chief. His name is Sidney Kuntai, right? So tell these ladies to call for you, Sidney Kuntai.
Eric, that's a second lucky break. You realize? So
there are many. I'm skipping. I'm telling you.
These are just lucky. So what is it? I keep asking. Is it the voice?
There are several lucky breaks.
What is it?
It is, I've got nothing to lose, right?
So you shoot your shot.
It's this or this.
Just shoot your shot.
Yeah.
But they don't show you
belly. It's a fire in the belly of, it gives you that confidence that you even look and you sound credible because you're not guessing. You're coming out there and you know exactly what you want. What do I want? I want to get into KTN, okay? And you speak with the confidence. I want to get into KTN. Excuse me, sir, how are you? I don't know if you have time to talk to me. No, you straight.
Shoot your shot.
Shoot your shot.
So you told the lady,
so I want
to see Kuntai and the rest
I actually got to work at KTN before joining KIMC, courtesy of the editor-in-chief, Sidney Kuntai, who told me, come, work here with these guys for a bit so that you can then get to familiarize yourself with what media is all about. And during that time, so when I got into KIMC, I'd also made now other contacts inside KBC, the production manager at KBC called Mrs. Nyamai. She told me, keep coming. Even, just let me know how you're doing, how you're faring. My kijana, let me know how you're faring. So one time I call her and she's like, oh, by the way, we're starting a new station and we are doing interviews at Kasarani. Come there, talk to Mr. Kingasia, tell Kingasia that I sent you. So I find my way to Kasarani one day, and I find many people at the Kasarani Sports Complex. KBC has a studio. I don't know if they still run a studio. They used to have a studio there where they do outside broadcast for whatever is happening, right?
This is days before online. So I guess when they put an ad in the paper that they're doing an open call.
Yeah. So I go there and I ask for Mr. Kingasia. Kingasia used to be a producer and presenter in KBC. He's like, when will tomorrow Mr. Nyamai? Kuja. So I go in, I do a voice test. They record it. And he's like, come again on Wednesday. People will be coming back on Wednesday. So I go back on Wednesday. Wewe, ulipita hiyo voice test. Unafanya ingine. So I do another one. And then he tells me, come again next week. I come, wewe, ulipita, walipenda. Sasa, unafanya interview. So I get into a panel. And this is a panel of people who are hiring people for this new station that KBC is starting. And they tell me, we are looking for presenters. And we see that, yes, your voice is good enough to be a presenter, but you're in school. And this is a full-time job, so what's going to happen? I was like, I can't drop out of school. I'd like to finish, but I'd like to just be an intern with this station when you started. And one of the people who's in the panel is Elizabeth Amolo.
Auntie Elizabeth.
Amolo, right? So she was the one who was to head this new station that was starting.
What was the name of the new station?
It started off as Capital FM. But it's because they were playing dirty tricks on a lady called Linda Holt, who had registered a new station that was to start, Kenya's first FM station.
That's right.
Called Capital FM. So these government people were trying to get ahead of her. Of course, she had the connections. She pushed back, fought, and they had to drop the name Capital. And they picked, what's the next thing next to Capital? Metro. So that first station was called Metro FM. About 1996, the first 2 FM stations were launched in Kenya. There was the government-owned Metro FM.
I don't even remember Metro FM.
You don't?
I don't. I remember Capital because everybody...
There were 2 types of people in this country. Right?
Here we go.
Yeah, there were the Metro FM people, and then there were the Capital FM people.
Did they start with the twags in those days?
Of course, that's when it was the full...
Capital started...
It was the full Mzungu from beginning to the end.
Yes.
With only Bob Kioko as the only black person doing a show in the evening.
Wait, there were Mzungu presenters?
Yes.
Who?
Phil Matthews.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Right? Joe Tunis, but these guys were... Oh. So Capital started soon after, and KBC started, but I was an intern, but I was still in college. So by the time I'm finishing college in 1998, I was already doing a show as an intern, not paid, but I'm enjoying myself. And I was getting a show doing the late night show on Metro FM. It was called the Metro Love Zone.
So do you play blues?
Oh, yes.
And then crooning a few.
Oh, my friend. Yeah.
So that's when the fan base began.
Yeah. Now that's when I was enjoying myself, and I was also I knew I'm using this opportunity as a learning experience and also positioning myself. So when I finish, I'm done with college.
Oh, you didn't clear college? It's not a bush?
This one I didn't clear. This one
you finished. What's the difference?
Yeah.
Okay, keep it moving.
One you're clearing the bush. You can see where you're going. So this one in 98.
So you graduate now from KIMC. It's what, like a 3-year program?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a 3-year program where I did a diploma in telecommunications engineering.
Okay.
Not journalism. Not production.
So you didn't, so you come out with a diploma in telecoms engineering?
Yes.
But do you take some electives in journalism at all?
Yeah. What I was doing is on the side, I was engaging a lot with the lecturers and the students in film, in production, in journalism. Because the person who, when I took my number 12 to KIMC that first time, and I went to ask, how do I get here? The person I found was the then head of production department in KIMC. His name was Mr. Kamau. He's deceased now. And so I tell him I'd like to study broadcasting. Which district are you from? I'm from Kajiado district. We don't get many from there. So let me see your results. Now we only have 2 intakes this year. One is in engineering, and the other one is in journalism. So you watch out, read the Kenya Times newspaper, and you'll see an advert somewhere in June, July. So then you make your application, and then in August you will see the results and your admission. So you'll start college in September. But I can tell you, I'll take you for engineering. So I did my application, but Kamau had already marked me, and he had already, this one engineering, straight.
So your journey into engineering is a function of Mr. Kamau, the late.
It is Mr. Kamau who basically just said.
But your dreams were you wanted to be a broadcaster. I'm still not understanding.
He told me when you get here, you do your engineering because you're qualified for engineering, and then you go everywhere else.
Your Mango Resurrections.
Yes, you interact with everybody else. So I ended up interacting with the journalism lecturers, and also with the film production lecturers. Like one of them is a very close friend of mine up to date. He's called Mr. Munyi. He was the head of the film production department. And I remember him telling me, you know what, Eric, you know, where the world is going to, this engineering of yours will be design, will not be repairing. You get to a point where you're working in a media house and the transmitter is dead and someone just presses a button.
Was he right?
He was very right. Tell me, so how you get yourself relevant is come, learn all these things. Learn film editing, learn production, learn lighting, interact with these people. So I did all those things anyway. So back to finished, went now to work in Metro full time, still as an intern. I would do some things here, record a commercial here, get paid 200 shillings at the end of the month, 500 shillings, and so on and so forth. And that's how I got my way in. So I found my way through these murky waters just by pushing through it.
How many years in Metro post-graduation?
So 1 year. 99, while we were at KBC and, beating stories with the other guys who are employed.
And Metro FM, the studios are in KBC.
KBC,
yes. Harry Thuku Road.
Yes. We hear of this person who wants to start a new station, and it's going to be a Christian station. It's an all-Christian station. And this is a Mzungu who's somewhere in Kileleshwa. Hey, this guy, I don't know what do you know him? I hear he runs a production company. So the following morning, before I report for my shift, I take a matatu to Kileleshwa. I drop off, and this one you'll know very well, Dick Road.
Yes.
Yeah. So I can see Boma. I can see, take Dick Road, walk down Dick Road, and I see I don't know what it was called. I think it was called Media Productions Limited or something. And I ring the bell and say, I'm here to see Mr. Leo Slingerland. And I walk in. That time I have a chrome tape. You know those cassettes?
A cassette tape.
A cassette tape.
With your voice.
Which has my voice. It has me doing a show. Last night's show, I recorded it onto this cassette.
Not the Love Groove.
Not one.
This is, you're going to a Christian station.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Calling Christians on love. So I go and I find this towering giant and I tell him, I work at KBC, at Metro FM. Oh, you work at Metro? I'm like, yeah. And I heard that you're starting a station. Who told you? It's there. What is around town? Okay. Oh, that's nice. So I tell him, here is my tape recording. This is my show I did last night. You're on radio? Like, yeah. Okay, we'll listen to it. The madam there is the boss. She will listen. You call me give me a date. And when I called that time, he was like, come talk to the madam. So I go, and the madam is his wife, the late Annika Slingerland. And he's like, Madam likes you. She doesn't talk to me. She says, hi. Madam likes you. So when can you start? And that's how I started. I moved from Metro, where I was not permanently employed. I got my first permanent job. And this
what was the name of this station now?
This was now to start new station.
Yes.
So when we are there, it's still planning stage. We moved to the NSSF building, I think on 20th floor. And we have a
NSSF,
full
the
floor.
one at the corner of Uhuru.
Yes, of just opposite the All Saints Cathedral. And that's where the first Christian radio and TV station was started. Family FM and Family TV.
Oh, yes.
And because of my engineering training, my experience working in the radio, so I was very instrumental in, setting it up. And when we...
So you're in the back end, you're in the front
I'm in
end.
the front end.
Yes.
When we actually now went on air the first time as Family FM, I was the one who put up the fader and said, this is 105.2 Family FM. Music you can believe in. I put down the fader, and that was the moment for me. That was it.
Wow.
Right? Because the others, well, I've joined in, I'm an intern. This one I'm coming in.
This
and
is yours.
Yeah.
This one is yours.
I'm the guy. Yeah. So it's those kind of journeys.
Yes.
And I look back and I tell people, it's a fire in your belly.
You're now, we've come a long way. And to your point, it's humble beginnings. From literally standing on Harithuku with your very dusty shoes, waiting for somebody to walk out that looks familiar, to the point where you're seated, one of 3 journalists, interviewing the president of this country at a very difficult time. What is that like in terms of the recognition? You're in front of in front of the president, Eric. That can't be easy. How do you even prepare for that?
The recognition, it's after hearing it from people like you that I actually sat back and I'm like, wait a minute. But at that moment, when I get the call and I'm told, so prepare tomorrow, there's going to be this interview, or I'm told, so next month you will be one of the 2 people who will be doing the presidential debate and so on and so forth. I take it in stride. I actually don't overthink things, right? But when I look back, I'm like, yeah, this is just grace. This is, there are many people who have had a similar journey as mine. It's not that, I've had that journey and therefore the journey forms part of the qualification for doing this. It's just the grace. And now, thinking about, okay, so we're going to be interviewing the president. I actually also don't think much about it.
How is it not possible to think much about it, Eric? I mean, you've come up with a list of questions.
Yes.
You've got to be thinking in your mind or overthinking or maybe not thinking as much. How is this question A going to land? Yeah. If this question is not answered, how am I going to do a follow-up, a follow-through?
Yeah.
What are the chances that I might piss off my interviewee during the process, and then the whole thing goes belly up,
and
goes
that's
up
what I
in
do
flames.
on a daily basis with all the interviews that I conduct on a daily basis. So when I'm saying I'm not thinking about it in terms of, God, this is the president. I'm thinking about it in terms of, all right, so what's the context? So what kind of person am I facing in terms of, I do a lot of media training, and I tell people when you're facing an interviewer, you've always got to remember that you are in a boxing ring. It's a boxing match. You are going to defend, and you are going to have to throw a punch. How you win is how many punches you land, right? And how many you block. So that's it. So therefore, you have got to know your opponent. You've got to know the counterparty, the person that you're dealing with. And
What
it's
does
the same
know
thing.
mean?
Knowing is seeing how much of this person's character do I know? Have they been in a world heavyweight title champion before? And if they haven't, they've got experience. So how do they approach it, right? Some of them, they just like, it's about their footwork, more of their footwork, and then you get dazzled by how much they're moving, and then they land a punch on you.
You realize how similar this is to a litigation, where somebody's in the cross-examine.
Yeah.
So, so that's actually, when you're speaking, I'm just thinking about, what was his name? Elisha versus Mwengi Motuse, right, which was exactly that. It was a sparring with one person. I hate using this word, cock blocking. I hate using that word. Am I allowed to use that word? just being difficult, and one guy really trying to pin him down. What did you think about that exchange?
It was interesting.
Yeah?
Yeah. the objectives of the two people was, it's clear. One person's objective is, to just stand by their story, whatever the story is. The other person's objective is to discredit the story and the person.
So take us back to how many times, so you've done many interviews, and I like what you're saying. So have you been in that sort of situation then, which is what you're trying to pin down an interviewee who's just, this is my position.
Yep.
This is my story and I'm sticking to it.
Yep.
Do you get frustrated?
Sometimes it's quite frustrating, right? Because you can clearly see that this person is avoiding to answer the question. And that's why now you start deploying the other tactics. Do I move away from this question, and I'm going to come back in a different way?
So you got to be thinking on your feet as you're doing the interview. You are
constantly doing that. You're constantly doing that. So in terms of like interviewing William Ruto is sharp. He has mastered the art of interviews, right? He knows that he's coming out there to tell his story. He's not coming there blank. Ask me, shoot, and I'm going to answer. No, he's actually a very, very good trainee of media training, because you come there with your story. Do I have 2 points that I want to land? You can land as many kicks as you want on me.
But my points,
as long as my 2 kicks land, I'm fine, right? And I will try as much as possible to just keep landing the same two. That's my point. So that's what he's very good at that. So he'll come with his story, and he wants to narrow it down to this is the story. When you move on, he'll come back into that story, right? And so you have to prepare. So how do I expand from whatever he'd like to say into what else people would like to hear?
So I'm hearing a function of media training. You just said it has probably gotten really good media training. Do you train people in the private sector on media training? Yes. And how does that land?
Yes.
Because there's some that you watch and you're like, this is a train smash.
And it's never easy, right? And I train, in fact, much of the training that I do is in the private sector, because the private sector has this relationship with the media, like, media,
very antagonistic.
Yeah. Yep. You guys, you're just coming here to pick your own story. You're going to post your own headline. You're going to misquote me. See, that's the relationship that many in the private sector have of the media. But then they don't see the opportunity that the media offers them.
Is there somebody who you admire in the private sector who you think plays the media card very well?
Yeah, there are people who have actually mastered it very well, and they have been able to end up telling their story. James Mwangi, for example. Whenever James Mwangi is appearing in an interview, he will tell his story, right? And you can see that. You can see that this person is actually telling his story. Jeremy Awori would tell his story. So you see someone like Mugo Kibati, he's now at Telkom.
Yeah.
So he has had various positions, but at one point he was the head of the Vision 2030. In fact, he was the first DG of Vision 2030. And he would come out and sell the vision so well that all the questions then would end up following what he's saying. Right. So it's a follow-up question to what he has said.
Okay.
The same thing with the equity holdings boss, James Mwangi. It's a story of equity from whatever, whether it's a Wings to Fly program, whether it's a bank itself, whether it's banking the unbanked. They tell the story, and you'd feel that this person is going that way.
Is it the way the person tells the story? Is it the way he's asked the questions? Is it the team that supports the person to help deliver a narrative?
It's a combination of all those.
Yeah.
But I think it goes with the personality, and first of all, this person knowing the potential that this opportunity affords him. Okay? So if you go to an interview and you're feeling, oh my God, these guys of mine have pushed me into this interview, I'm just doing it because my team says we need to do media.
Yeah.
I hate these media people. Then
it will show.
It will show. You'll come in there and you're ill prepared. But if you actually see the opportunity, if you see the opportunity of what this offers you, then you will come in there, and the first thing that you do is you want to reel in this person so that they can work for you.
It's a little dance is what I'm hearing.
It's a complete dance.
Anyway.
It happens all the time, even on our show, on this situation on Spice FM. A guest comes in, and when a guest starts by calling us by our name, hi, Eric, hi, City, hi, Ndu, you guys, I watch you guys every morning.
In fact, there's somebody who pack us, there's somebody who pack and do blue band, saying you're more beautiful in life than in voice, and just watch the whole body language change. Okay.
So, those subtle things.
Yes.
So even when you're punching, you're feeling, okay, I mean, this is my person.
Yes.
Really, and constantly the person, as you're answering the questions, you're smiling, you're cracking a joke here and there, you're walking the journey with the person. I will shut up and actually listen to your story because it's so interesting the way you're telling it. But if you're just answering the question and you want to finish with this question as fast as possible so that next question, please, then I'll be like, okay.
So the power of storytelling, that's what's coming out to me. That the three gentlemen that you talked about, James Mwangi, you talked about Mogo Kivati, you talked about Jeremy Awori, who's now at EcoBank as the CEO. Yeah. So this was when he was the CEO of ABSA?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So
no ladies in your repertoire or
many,
people? Yeah, come on, give us a few lady names.
Once we interviewed Carol Musyoka.
Stop. No, really.
Right.
Anyone else?
See?
You see, you're talking blue band now.
It works.
Yes, no, you're absolutely right.
It works. So there are very many. I picked on those ones, not necessarily because, they exceptionally stand out, but because, first of all, I remember them. And they're not currently at present. At present, there are very many. There are people who I interview and I'm like, I like this person. This one, I think you need a little bit of training. You need a bit of some work done, And I advise them, like, I think you need a bit of work on how to prepare for an interview so you can take full advantage of it.
2 tips, just 2 tips. What should I, a novice, do to prepare for an interview?
So the first thing that you need to do is acknowledge and appreciate that this is an opportunity for you.
To plug.
Not for the journalist, the interviewer. This is your opportunity, okay? So once you have that, then how do you want to use this opportunity? What 2 stories, 2 things, 2 points do you want to go with for this interview?
I think I'm going to come back to Spice FM. I didn't come with an agenda. And I had an agenda, but I was shy. I was just kidogo shy. So that's all it did. I didn't know that I could seize the moment.
Yes. Always try. I mean, you're in this ring. Try as much as possible to land your punch.
Okay.
And make this person just be bedazzled by your footwork. Whatever else you're doing, whether it's punting or whatever. Just confuse them and land your punch.
Okay, so that's the first tip.
Those are 2.
That was 1. It was 1. It was 1, Eric. It was
number 1.
Number 1 is go in with a story that you want to be.
Acknowledge
that
this is for you.
Okay.
Not for them.
And number 2?
Number 2, once you've acknowledged, then go with your 2 stories.
Okay, go with it.
That's it.
All right.
Because the rest now is just building up onto those 2 things.
Yeah. Let me shift gears a little bit. I'm just going to take you back very quickly. You were the first, you've done a lot of the first Metro FM, the first private, FM station in KBC, first Christian station. Kameme, again, first vernacular station. Yeah. What was that experience like?
Kameme is one of those stories where working at Family FM, Family TV, I hear of this new idea for a 24-hour vernacular radio station playing Kikuyu, and I find out who's behind it. I hear it's a lady called Rose Kimolo, and I reach out to her and I say, I'm working at Family. I've also worked at Metro. She's like, please come and meet me. And I go and meet her with the person who was the first manager at that station, and her name was Shiro Gikonyo, who is now an rights activist.
I've always seen you with Shiro on Spice FM. I didn't know there was so much history. In fact, I know her now as a human rights activist. I didn't know there was history back in Kameme.
So Shiro, when capital was capital, right? Among the first...
Can we just try that tongue again?
Capital.
Kabisa? Your tongue is too heavy.
Yeah,
so from Kimana. It's a guy from Kimana.
Yes. So, among the Mijiros who are doing capital then, there was Caroline Musyoka, there was Bob Kyoko, and there was Shiro. Just Shiro, doing the mid-morning. Then she moved from Capital. Kumbe, she went to start this new station. So she was then tapped by Rose Kimodo to come and help her start the station.
Okay.
So Shiro is actually the one who launched Kameme FM.
Okay.
With Rose Kimodo, so I was there supporting casts, heading production, helping.
That must have been very
presenters.
exciting. It's the first vernacular.
It was
I mean, you're trisexing. You have no idea whether it's going to take or not.
Yes. And it's first vernacular station in the middle of a highly politicized environment.
What year was this?
So this is 1999. We are getting into the final years of the Moi administration.
Yeah.
The opposition is making the noise that the opposition is making. This is the first time that Daniel Arap Moi has actually allowed the liberalization of media to the extent of vernacular. Remember, vernacular was tightly controlled, right? And so those days, the early days of starting Kameme FM were quite, back and forth. There'd be people who go and whisper to Moi, these people are, fanning, tribalism in the country. And there'd be calls that come to Rose Kimodo. This thing of yours is going to be shut down because you cannot be tribal. This Kenya is not a tribal country. You cannot be talking Kikuyu throughout. Those kind of things. And so we had to keep playing on what else do we do. So we had to introduce, for example, news bulletins in English. And Eric had to read the news in English.
I see.
We had to introduce a Swahili show in the middle of the day, right? And so we got somebody to actually come and do a pure Swahili show, right? At midday to 2 p.m. Complete Swahili. So we're showing it's not Kikuyu.
Yes.
It's a mix. The music mix has English music. It has Swahili songs as well. It's not just Kikuyu.
That's right.
So it was quite interesting at time. So 1999 into crossing over into 2000. Very, very interesting.
So when the history is written about radio, there'll be a chapter on Eric Latiff.
There should be.
There should be,
in Kenya.
You've chaptered the rounds.
Yes.
Yeah?
Alongside these four women, and now that we're here, let me mention them. All right? Elizabeth Omolo started the first FM station. It went on air before Capital Metro FM, right? Linda Holt started the first private radio station in Kenya, Capital FM, right? The late Annika Slingerland started the first Christian religious station in Kenya. And the other woman is Rose Kimodo.
Yeah.
She started the first vernacular radio station. When the history of radio in Kenya is written, these four women founded FM stations in Kenya.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. So Eric, you've worked in radio, TV, and now you've got your company playing in the digital space, Zeze Digital. So how do you see the role of digital media in Kenya's journalism space? Is there a time where you see the role of journalists taking a backseat and more AI or more, automatically generated content rather than the true, proper journalistic, professional content?
So what I see in the immediate horizon is, and I like it, it's the expansion of the definition of media, right? So for a long time, media has been these mainstream media houses that talked down. They come with the information, they give it to you, and you don't have a way of interacting with it. Into the digital media space where we have very many content creators, and what they're doing is they're creating content, and the consumers are feeding back immediately and interacting and engaging immediately. And they also become now sub-creators of the same content, right? So you say that Carol Musyoka has started creating content and producing this content, and there are people who are coming in reacting and saying, no, Eric is wrong on this particular point. He actually got the name wrong. He, correcting it and adding and saying, I think, Carol, now that you talk about this, you should add this and other aspect, right? So you're co-creating with your audience.
Doesn't it bother you though? Because as a journalist, even though you trained as a telecommunications engineer, but you did say that you were engaging with the professors, doesn't it bother you that a lot of this content creation doesn't have the journalistic ethos, in terms of verifying, in terms of fact checking? It must bother you.
It does. But I also look back, and whenever we're having these conversations about misinformation, disinformation, I always say, let's not look at it from this age of the digital era. So the digital era is expanding things, but just look at it from the point of your village, your home, your neighborhood, right? There's always misinformation. But over time, the community gets to identify the people who come up with rumors. So if you hear a certain story and it has come from Mama Njeri, just that one. Yeah, typical, right? And if you hear a certain story and it has come from Mama Michael, then you trust it a bit more.
Do you see that in the digital, without saying names, of course,
Yes.
I know I don't want you to do any plugs or criticisms, but do you see that in the social media space
Yes.
today? You do?
Yes.
The trusted ones
Yes.
and the non-trusted ones.
They keep emerging. They'll emerge, and that's the beauty of it. Now, those that emerge also need to realize that it's important then to add the other tag to your authenticity by aligning yourself with the structures. For example, we've got a Media Council of Kenya that has a media code of ethics. So if you subscribe to the media code of ethics and you work regularly with the Media Council of Kenya, you win the Kenya Journalism Award, right? Then
Ni kazi mingi.
no, it's not kazi mingi.
Ni kazi mingi. Now you want me to go
in your day-to-day life. In your day-to-day life,
So I want to be a content creator. I wanted to be a news content creator. Yes. And I see a number of people doing that, particularly on the business side. Some really beautiful content by people who are not journalists, but who've created a voice in Kenyan business. I don't want to call it journalism, but information gathering, who I'm not seeing trying to win journalism awards, because that's not the space they play. Them, they're content creators in business journalism, in business information.
Deep down, everybody wants that level of
endorsement. Do they?
Deep down, everybody wants a level of endorsement.
That's your definition.
No, everybody, deep down, Carol Musyoka wants to have an award.
No, I don't.
Yes.
I don't.
Deep down. You know what award is?
This awarding thing.
And the award is just recognition. Let's not call it, a plaque or whatever.
Thank you.
It's a recognition.
Call it peer recognition or market recognition, but not an award where I'm going from gala night at a hotel in Nairobi. And so it's recognition.
And that is the loudest form of peer recognition.
Okay.
Right? When your peers actually give you this award. That's the loudest, long-running form of peer recognition. So people want that. And once you get that, you see, that's showing you that you're actually being recognized by peers, by those who
consume your product.
And those also who have got the trust of the market. So if I hear that, somebody, and then has also been mentioned by Carol Musyoka, then I'll be like, okay, now if Carol Musyoka has actually found this person to be worth my time, then I'm going to give them my time. Because I trust Carol Musyoka.
That's right.
So those that you trust, then endorsing and welcoming those new ones, that's it. And I think that's what's going to happen with, we see this all the time. We see these platforms that, gain recognition and come up with a list of most influential people, most this and the other. And the person who's received it, even though they are being modest, they're happy.
No, they usually say humbled and honored.
Yeah,
humbled and honored.
Yeah. That is because you're feeling, somebody has actually noticed what I'm doing. Yeah. And they feel that I'm authentic enough. So that eventually it's going to happen. And that's why I was saying, it's important for the content creators then to find yourself into an affiliation of a structure. The affiliation towards a structure, Media Council of Kenya, whatever you want to call yourself, the Bloggers Association, and the Bloggers Association then is also working in, getting this recognition. So works that way. Even in industry, that's why we have all these bankers awards and all. It's because you want this.
I'm just thinking of a young person starting out and you're telling them they need to get into a structure and they're probably looking at you and like, look, I've got 1 million followers. I'm not in any structure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
but they're paying Elon Musk to get them tick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, Elon made everybody pay to get the
and
tick.
before that, they would really, really be happy because they've gotten the tick.
Yeah, verified. So what's your message?
The message is that you want to get that peer recognition and you want to align yourself with your peers who are doing well in the industry, who are recognized. What I'm saying, it doesn't have to be that the big media houses recognize you. As long as there is a way, there's a structure within your space. There is a financial advisors, content creators, and those financial advisors are content creator.
So industry recognition in this place that I'm trying to play in.
Yeah.
All right. Eric, before we close, we like to end with a little tradition here on the Nitpicker Podcast. And we call it Nitpicks on the Quick. These are quickfire questions that are designed to help us get to know you in a different light. Do not overthink. Just go with the first thing that comes to. You're smiling already. We haven't even started.
Is it a yes or no? Or it's just
Yes, it's
yes,
it's,
no,
it's,
maybe.
it's yes. Well, it's the black or white. You go black.
Okay.
You ready?
Black or white, I go black.
No, you say black.
What if I want white?
Oh,
Okay, I get it.
Are you ready? Don't overthink. Right. Text message or phone call?
Text.
Why?
I don't like talking.
Why? You're on radio all the time. What do you mean you don't like talking?
I talk to get paid.
So if I call you, you won't pick up. But if I send a text message, you'll respond within 30 seconds.
Haven't you noticed that?
Actually, no. It was catching. It's good. Watch sports or play sports?
Watch.
Which one do you like to watch?
Football.
Which one?
English Premier League, the World Cup, AFCON, when Harambee Stars is beating teams or being beaten, right? And my daughter likes Formula One. I'm one of those guys. I don't like this big fad kind of thing. So Formula One, yay. So I'll watch Formula
football.
One. Yeah.
So football is a big fat thing.
Football is a kawaida thing.
So is Formula One.
Formula One is not a kawaida thing. You'll not find people in Kimana Primary School doing Formula One.
So Formula One plus Capiro FM, same was
Same was that.
Right?
My daughter likes Formula One, so now I follow Formula One. And
Okay.
I have followed Formula One anyway, once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is your favorite team?
In Formula One.
No. In Futa.
Arsenal.
Well, I'm not even. Did you hear that snort of derision somewhere in the room?
Yeah.
There you go.
Those are the losers.
Pilau or ugali choma?
Ugali.
Ugali.
No, it's not the ugali, it's the choma.
It's a choma?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which choma do you like? Mbuzi, gombe?
Mbuzi or goat? I'd go with goat.
Mbuzi and goat are the same thing.
I don't know, that's what you asked.
I said gombe. So beef or
Mbuzi.
goat? Yeah, mbuzi, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Chai or cappuccino?
None.
Why?
Water.
You don't take any poison. Like in the morning when we see you on Spice FM with that cup, it's got
I do,
water in it.
But yeah, no. I actually have the coffee that's 3-in-1 mixed. It's not cappuccino.
I know it.
The thing you give me-
Nescafe, yes.
Yeah, the
yes.
Nescafe 3-in-1.
Yes.
Yeah. So the options you give me is chai or cappuccino.
So none. But you just
None
want
of
like a
those two.
basic coffee.
A basic,
Yeah? Not tea.
not tea. Tea, black, yeah. Okay. I don't do milk.
Okay.
Lactose
But you do
intolerant things.
Yeah, but you do the 3-in-1.
It's
got
a creamer.
creamer.
Yeah. And Kidogo is measured nicely. Works well for me.
Okay. Travel back in time or fast forward your life?
Fast forward.
To when?
I don't know how far we're going.
It's your shot.
Well, anywhere towards, not towards my end of life, towards my most successful part.
So we haven't seen success yet.
I'm not sure, I don't think so.
I like that. Morning person or night owl?
Hey, that thing confuses me all the time. I am not a morning person.
Yet you
When I
are?
don't have a choice.
Yes. What time do you have to wake up in the morning
3
to get to your show at 6?
Yeah.
So evenings, you're not talking to anybody?
evenings, I end up sleeping at about 10:30, 11:30,
wow.
right? So that's the thing. So am I resurrector?
The rapture.
So my alarm goes off at 3.
Yeah.
So that I wake up at 3:30. Snoozing is a must. I'm not the guy that alarm rings and up.
Yeah. You wake up in installments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alarm goes off at 3. Sometimes, in fact, by the time the alarm is going off, I'm already awake, but I will not get up.
Yeah.
Okay, so the alarm is going to go again. 3:30 up. Take 1 hour, just easy, preparing, shower, dress. So 4:35 is when I'm ready to get out of the house.
Okay. And thank God for expressway.
And thank God for expressway, 7 minutes.
7 minutes, you're at the studio.
Yes.
Okay. So you didn't answer. So you're a night owl.
I don't know.
You're not. You're neither.
I told you.
It all blends.
It always confuses me, really, really much.
So if you went before Spice FM, what were you?
I'd find myself working a bit late, right? Not that I'm enjoying it, but
Yeah.
that's,
When do your creative juices flow? Maybe that's what
well,
I should ask.
I think after hours.
Yeah. Okay. So more night owl.
Yeah.
Read the book or watch the movie?
Watch a movie.
Which one?
Any. What's the latest? Just watch something.
Really?
Right? Yes. Watch
Movies on Netflix or series?
Movie, series, documentary. I'm very eclectic in terms of what I consume. It could be whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes lately I'm finding myself watching those old stories, whether it's Western based, whether it's, it's those of kind of Vikings and such stories of the last kingdom, when people are just fighting bare knuckles and kingdoms are falling and coming up.
So you like the historical pieces? Okay. What do you do when you want to get what's cutting on the ground experience in Kenya? In the industry that you're in, I'm sure you like to sort of dip your finger into the pulse. Where do you go to get it?
So social media works very well for me right now, okay? So I'm in several groups, and those groups are different, they're diverse, they're different kind of people. So I'll see the conversations that are happening there, and they're a reflection of what's actually going on, right? So there are WhatsApp groups that will tell me during this recording, a lot has happened. So I'll get in there, it's a newsroom WhatsApp group, and I'll see what's happened. And another one is a politics WhatsApp group, and I'll see the kind of political undercurrents that are going on. Another one is an economy kind of group, regional, so I'll see what's happening there. Others are just motionary groups.
But those are very virtual. What about when you want to go on the ground, put on a pair
That's the ground, by the way.
That's ground?
That's
the
ground.
virtual space?
Yes.
But that's an
because all these
oxymoron
people,
right there.
they are actually reflecting what's happening in the ground. The people who are commenting there, they are actually talking about what their experiences are, wherever they are.
Yeah.
So that gives me a very broad feel from one space, as opposed to saying, I'm going to drive out, I'm going to go to sit in a pub, and you're just getting just a small mix of people, unless you're calling a baraza, And in a baraza, then you're finding people who sometimes they're not just sharing everything that they have. But in these groups, you'll be able to pick out.
And I guess they're so diversified in background. Huh?
Yes.
All right. Best place to eat. Your absolute favorite restaurant. Or Kibandansky.
Mama Oliech.
The one here in Halinga?
Yes.
What do you like there?
The fish.
Yeah?
I walk in there and actually they know. So I just walk in, whether it's done, they already know what I'm going to eat.
What do you eat when
The
you're
dry, fry, fish,
Nice.
and ugali. Ugali, I'll do I'll bite. So for me, the starch is not the food. For me, the food is the protein, is the burger. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
So the starch is just an accompaniment. I'm just going to bite 2 or 3. But then the dry fish.
You want the dry
And then
fry.
sometimes they do chicken, but mostly I'll go there for fish.
Okay.
And they've got some good matumbo, actually.
Matumbo.
I discovered some very good matumbo.
Dry fry.
Yes, I was there with Babu Owino recently, and he was having the matumbo. I was like, I've never known you guys to have matumbo. He's like, yeah. And I loved it.
Okay. Best place to kick back and just unwind when you want to unplug.
On the road.
You like road tripping?
On the road. I love driving, and I just love being in the car, driving. There's music in the background, good Kenha Road.
Good Kenha Road. What does that even mean?
Because they are bad Kenha roads,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So when there's a good Kenha Road, I'll enjoy it. And I love those. I love just going to places. I'll go and I'll find myself in Makueni. I'll cross over into Kitui. I'll find my way back through Machoka, and I'll enjoy. I'll be like, I went to new places this weekend. I'm not doing much of that. Actually, that's what I'd like to get more of.
Unstructured trips.
Yeah, having those unstructured trips. Friday, 10 a.m. I'd already packed my bag. I don't know where I'm going. Just fuel the vehicle, go.
Does Kenya lend itself to that?
Yes, I think it's actually increasingly doing that. The road network is lending itself to that.
Great. Eric, you've been a rock star. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much. How long has that been?
Long enough to know that you were on our hot seat today. Not so spicy.
Yeah.
Not so spicy, but you did well. Thank you very much.
Gosh, Carol, that wasn't easy.
And that wraps up today's episode of the Nitpicker Podcast. Kwanzaa, thank you to Eric Latiff for bringing us interesting stories about an interesting person doing interesting things. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation as much as we have. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.